Welcome to Let's Face the Facts. I'm David Almeida, and I'm your host for this rewatch podcast for the classic sitcom The Facts of Life. I'm an actor in Orlando, Florida, and every week I bring you some of the greatest talent in the Central Florida arts community. Join us as we synopsize, analyze, criticize, and ultimately idolize the show, episode by episode. Welcome back again. Another show, another week, another Wednesday. Thank you for downloading and clicking play. This week, my guest is J.W. Moore. He's back for more. See what I did there? I've been in isolation too long. Yeah. Our household is slowly getting healthy again. It looks like I am healthy and past the point of no return, so I can be among the world and the living and not infect people, which is nice. It's nice. And I'm actually glad because my symptoms really were very, very mild compared to other people. So counting my blessings and glad that I can still put together one of these shows just for you. So let's get to it. JW, you'll remember, is an actor, a singer, an improviser. He was here back in March, right at the beginning, just before the pandemic was about to hit. And we said, let's do this again, because why not? We're sitting at home. We got nothing else to do anyway. So JW and I watched season 5, episode 24, called Joint Custody. And the original air date was May the 2nd of 1984. That's it. I'm ready to jump on in. Hope you are too. Let's face the facts with J.W. Moore. Ladies and gentlemen, returning to the show, second time around, it's J.W. Moore.
Hi! Oh,
welcome.
That was a weird hi.
Was it? Did your computer kind of go yee on you?
No, I just like, that's, I've never said hi like that before.
Oh. I'm
hello.
Sure you have. Yes,
How's
hello,
everyone?
dear.
Hello.
Welcome to the National Public Radio version.
We're going to turn this into an ASMR episode.
And then Duty walks over to Natalie. And so, I can't even.
I'll do the mouth sounds.
How have you been, my friend, in the quarantine?
I've been going knuckin' futs.
Oh, yeah?
Because it's, I haven't worked in over 6 months.
Mm-hmm.
And
you haven't ventured out much either,
no,
have you?
And I'm not going to now either since DeSantis opened the state back up.
Yeah, and according to who was it? Was it someone that my sister knew? That like the day that the governor said, okay, we're at phase 2 now, everything's fine. Apparently the bars downtown were packed.
Oh, yeah.
Mobbed. People just went, oh, great. They say it's okay for us to go out. Let's
you
do
remember
it.
Memorial Day?
Mm-hmm.
Memorial Day, like all the beaches were packed full. And then 2 weeks later, we had another outbreak.
Had a spike. Yeah. And I can't even go into this, how so much of this is, there is no reason that this should become politicized.
No.
But it's just like,
Yeah.
I didn't care for this governor to begin with for many other
Right.
reasons. And this isn't helping his case at all in my life. But do you remember, you were last on the show in, was it early March that we sat down at Sleuth's?
It was right before the lockdown happened.
Yeah. One of us either coughed or sneezed and
Yeah.
made the joke, oh, coronavirus.
Yep.
That's like, that was just a joke. It wasn't really going to become a thing.
No, it was not our fault.
I've actually been a little bit sick.
Oh no.
I woke up yesterday morning feeling weird, and I was like, oh, no.
Uh-oh.
So I took my temperature. I am running a fever.
Oop.
But that's it. It's like...
Well, sometimes that's all it is.
Well, I still have my sense of taste. I'm
Yeah.
not coughing. I just have the fever.
My
That's-
mom,
Otherwise, I feel fine.
I was gonna go help her clean up around her place today, and she's like, I got a bit of a tickle, and I'm like,
Yeah. Well, been nice knowing you.
All right. I'm going to wear my mask.
Yeah. Oof.
Because my dad,
So-
he still works, and he has an auto garage, and he works with the people.
Yeah.
So, I mean, he says he wears his mask, but
But yeah.
yeah.
And to be honest, there are times that I forget. There are times that, like, we were out just running some errands, buying some things, looking at Halloween decorations at the stores. I actually don't mind putting on the mask, and then as soon as I walk into every store, disinfect, do the Purell,
Right.
and then do the same thing as I leave. I'm like, this is actually a good habit to be in.
I actually have some wipes in my car,
Me too.
and I take a couple with me, and I wipe down the shopping cart, and then I just put one in my hand, and then that's how I pick up all my items is with the wipe.
Yeah. My thoughts are, if my face is covered, I'm not going to touch my face when the
Right.
mask is on.
Yeah.
So the idea is that if you disinfect when you go in, anything you touch in there that might get on your hands, you disinfect on the way out, and then the mask comes off.
Yeah.
So I feel surprisingly okay with it, I guess, because as time has gone on, they are saying that to get it off of a surface, to touch something,
Yeah.
and
Which,
get it is less likely.
That's what they were saying originally, but apparently it's airborne. So, and it's been airborne since the beginning.
Well, yeah,
But-
because I mean the droplets and the all that stuff. I mean we've
Yeah.
known that, but it's anywho.
Yeah.
In spite of the pandemic, in spite of isolation and crazy medical stuff, and this little cold I'm nursing right now, I am so glad to have you back.
I'm so glad to be back.
It's good to see you. Good to talk with you, and
Yes.
we have a Lulu of an episode
Oh
to
my
discuss.
goodness!
Don't we?
I like I told you before. I messaged you before. I finished the episode. I'm like, well, that just made a complete 180.
Yeah,
I was like,
there are twists and turns.
I know.
This is a
I'm
roller
like,
coaster.
I was like, I don't like her. Ooh, no, I don't like him. What's going on?
Yeah, exactly. And I still have some issues. I still have some critiques. I know people are going to find that hard to believe.
It's a very focused on Miss G. This
Yeah.
episode. It's
And
the
we like a
girls-
Mrs. G episode.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with that. We kind of find her being marginalized a lot as the show goes on. So
Yeah.
it's that didn't hurt me where I live.
Like there was
And-
hardly any. There was no really side stories in this. It was mainly focused on that one story.
Yeah. I mean, remember, we're still not into A story, B story being the standard. This is 84.
Right.
So
Because the
even
last time
as
I was
late as-
here, the episode was split into two stories: the squirrel and the meal.
Oh, and the foreigners
And the-
coming
yeah.
in.
It was the meal,
Yeah.
the foreigners, and the squirrel. But this is just
Yeah.
just
And-
one story.
Yeah, no, that was definitely an anomaly because I think you have the only episode that was the ABC story,
Yeah.
but they were somehow connected. In this case, we're back to form here with just the A story. And we are speaking, of course, ladies and gentlemen, and my tens of listeners, of Season 5, Episode 24, called Joint Custody from May the 2nd of 1984. You know something, JW?
What?
This is the first new episode that has broadcast in 6 weeks.
Really?
They had 6 weeks of reruns before they gave us this one. I don't know if they were holding back, waiting for sweeps or something. Because May is sweeps month, isn't it?
Right.
So maybe
think
they were
so.
like, oh, we're running out. Because this is the last episode. It's not the last episode of the season, but the upcoming episode is the final episode of the season.
Right.
It's a 2-parter, and it's a clip show, but there is a story. There is new stuff in it. But basically, as of this, they only have 3 episodes left for the season, so they had to hold them back, I guess, for those 6 weeks. So America is rejoicing now in the month of May, 1984. So the show was written by Bob Meyer and Bob Young. We've spoken of them in the past. The Bobs, and was directed by Asad Kelada. And it's time, JW, you know, this is where I ask my guest to give me the 1 to 2 sentence TV guide synopsis of the entire episode.
Guess who's coming to dinner? It's Mrs. G's son and daughter-in-law. And things are afoot. I don't know.
That's fun. That's awesome. Yeah, and things happen. Yeah,
Yeah.
there it is. It's a sitcom.
There's a conflict, resolutions, beginning, middle, and end.
and some tampon commercials in between, and we're good to go.
After I watched Daily Motion, so I didn't get to witness the gloriousness of the tampon commercials.
Oh, so you watch the Daily Motion version.
Yeah.
A new thing that's been happening is because you can only get seasons 1 to 3, I think, right now, available streaming.
Yeah.
Unless you have the DVDs.
Right.
All we have are these Daily Motion versions. And
Which
these
the quality is, like this Zoom call is better quality than that episode.
That's true. But the versions on Daily Motion are the syndicated versions where there's usually about 3 minutes missing from the original broadcast versions that you get on the DVDs.
Yeah, that's jumping into one of my favorite shows. That's why I have the entire series of Friends on DVD because it has those missing parts. I remember watching it on Netflix, and Netflix has the TV versions of it that aired the broadcast versions. And I'm like, wait, there's more to this episode. They're missing like 2 or 3 minutes out of this episode. What's going on? I'm popping my DVDs back in.
Yeah. Nope, that happens. It's to make room for more commercials for the rerun market. Well, are we ready to jump on in?
Yes. I didn't take any notes this time.
That's okay. That's totally fine. We'll just talk about it.
Okay.
And just to remind both me and the listeners, this is not a show you ever really watched. Is this the second episode you've ever seen?
This is the second episode I've ever seen in my life. So I was very confused. I'm like, I thought they were at a school. But I'm like, I'm guessing this is a weekend. So I'm like, so there's a business now. They have a shop.
Things have changed, haven't
they? Have they all graduated? What's going on?
Blair and Joe have graduated from high school, so they don't go to Eastland anymore. And at the same time they left, Mrs. Garrett's son, Raymond, which is the same son we meet in this episode, he bought this building and suggested she open this gourmet food store. So Blair and Joe live there because that way they don't have to live in the dorms and they can work off their food and boarding, food and lodging. And then my issue with this season is that Tootie and Natalie also live there.
Oh.
It's like you go to a boarding school.
Yeah.
What, you don't want to be with your other friends? You can't just come by and visit
I don't
on the
think
weekends?
they have any other friends. I think it's just them.
Clearly
They're not friends with the extras.
No, absolutely. They don't mix with them. Yes. So, yeah, the show has changed format. This season 5 and next season, season 6, are at Edna's Edibles. They are called the Edna's Edibles years of the show.
Okay.
And then at the beginning of season 7, spoiler alert, shop burns down.
Oh, no.
But they decide to sally forth and rebuild and open a different store. It's a novelty store. It's like a Spencer's Gifts, but without the dildos.
Oh.
And
so it's basically a Hot Topic.
It's exactly, but a lot brighter, not the dark, not the dark emo type of a thing going on. No, it's very bright and 80s and white background and neon lighting and bright pinks and
very
fuchsias.
Mid to late 80s.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, they totally just said, let's lean hard into the aesthetic of the decade that we're in. And woo, they did. And the contractor they hire to help them rebuild, George Clooney.
Oh.
That was one of his first sitcom gigs. He had many, actually, throughout his
He did
life
one on
before.
Friends as well. He was an ER doctor.
I think that he was the doctor from ER on Friends, wasn't
yes,
he?
He was. He was the doctor from.
Okay.
He was a cameo as well as the other ER
Okay.
doctor.
All right.
Another
so
show I didn't watch.
So they exist in the same universe.
Yes. Friends and ER. I started watching Friends in the second season, so I was, let's see, that came out in 94, so it was 95. So I was maybe 7 or 8.
Wow.
Yeah. Because I was 87?
Yeah.
91.
I was like 20.
Yeah, I was
Friends
8.
came on in 93 to 02, right?
It was 1994 to 2004.
94 to 4. Okay. So, yeah, so 1994, I was 26. So I was like, it was the perfect age for me.
Yeah.
And I remember channel surfing, and I stumbled upon the pilot. And I was like, what is this show? And then the girl walks in the bride's dress.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, my God, that's that girl from The Edge, the Julie Brown sketch show that
That's
was
the girl
on
from
Fox.
Leprechaun.
Yeah. But she was great on The Edge, the Julie Brown show. Did you ever see it?
No.
It was on Fox, the same season that the Ben Stiller show was on. And as Ben Stiller put it, he said you could tell the network was more into promoting The Edge because it had Julie Brown, and the supporting cast was Jennifer Aniston, Tom Kenny, Carol Rosenthal, Jill Talley, Wayne Knight.
Oh.
Alan Ruck did some stuff on there. It was a surprisingly, future famous cast, but they were so good. But Ben Stiller always felt like the network gave him short shrift, and then they canceled the show, and then Ben Stiller won the Emmy for Best Writing in a Comedy Series.
And they also gave him a cameo on Friends.
Yep, true. Very true. Indeed. Okay, my friend, are we ready to jump in and start doing my microscopic dissection?
Yes, you do that.
Okay. Well, as is the common thing with so many sitcoms, the episode begins with activity. Things are happening, and busy work, and there's a thing that's going to happen, and and that thing is what, JW?
That Mrs. G's son / landlord is coming to visit.
Mm-hmm. And here's the funny thing. She says this is his first visit.
Mm-hmm.
Now, we did see Raymond in the premiere of this season. So season 5, episode 1 is where he basically brings her into this shithole that would become Edna's Edibles and say, I bought this. This is for you. You should open your own gourmet food store. So it's like, I know he lives in Boston. We know he's not local. They don't say that here, but we've heard that in the past. So it's kind of like, really? You haven't made a single visit? It's you give her own business in September, and now May is when you show up to see how it's going? Okay, hey. But we do learn later about him being substantial workaholic, so that could justify it. So I think I'm going to have to allow that.
I have to say, I laughed at Mrs. G's very first line.
Which is what now?
Girls! I'm like,
That's all she had to say.
Girls!
But it was, make sure the pasta in that barrel is full. And they're like, what, Mrs. Garrett, would you quit having a shit fit? It's just Raymond.
Yeah.
Anyhow.
And then she's like, and then they're like, well, what if he thinks that we just didn't sell too much? Well, take some out.
And what we learn is Mrs. Garrett's angst, as it were, is due to not Raymond's visit, but the fact that Raymond is bringing his wife, Doris. And Mrs. Garrett is hoping that there will be nothing that she can criticize. And the girls are all like, oh, we know who she's talking about. And Joe says, the Wicked Witch of the East. And Tootie and Natalie are like, oh, come on now. Why don't we just say the things that we've heard Mrs. Garrett say? And Tootie does a horrible impression of Mrs. Garrett. And Tootie says, that woman's making my boy miserable. Like,
I love it.
Terrible.
It's like Tootie's more Medea than Mrs. G.
Hello.
Come hell or high water. Listen here, Bill.
Yep. Beautiful. Yeah. And then Natalie echoes this with, how could Raymond marry such a shrew? So we're like, Mrs. Garrett has said some choice things about this daughter-in-law of
Shrew?
hers.
I'm surprised that made it through the censors.
I know. So Mrs. Garrett says, well, she criticizes and picks on him all the time. I don't know what he ever saw in her. And Natalie does bring up an important point that I think will make our friend Matthew Arter very happy when she says, wow, our local candidate for sainthood is acting like an actual mother-in-law.
Ooh.
Meaning, Mrs. Garrett is kind of perfect to the point of beyond plausibility.
Yeah.
We have said throughout the series.
She's Mary Poppins' mother.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, oh, we could have seen some more moments of her having flaws, and we know vulnerabilities there and all that. But anyway, it's just interesting to point out that this is a good episode where you do see Mrs. Garrett really struggling.
Yeah.
And the struggle begins upon the arrival of Raymond and Doris. Now, we do need to say Raymond is played once again by actor Joel Brooks. This is only the second time he's been on the show. Since the first time when he gets her this building. He buys the building and is renting the shop to her.
Now, I've seen him before. What other things has he been in?
He has been in a million different things, JW.
I know. That's why I've seen him. Like, he's got one of those faces.
I cannot name one of them other than I remember him as a kid. He was on a couple of episodes of Three's Company.
Yeah.
Joel Brooks is still working today.
Yeah.
He is still around. He is... he's got a kabillion IMDb credits.
Oh, yeah.
He has never not been working.
I've seen his face in so many things.
Yes. But yeah, his work on Three's Company was awesome. I loved him on that, and that's where I remember recognizing him from.
It looks like he's just one of those, bit part actors that never really got a leading role.
Yeah. But a great actor, though.
But,
great
I mean,
actor.
it's one of those actors be like, he's never going to be a leading man, but you know his face. You don't know his name, but you like, I've seen him. Like, I remember seeing him, I'm looking at his credits right now. I remember seeing him in Ally McBeal. I remember seeing him in Everybody Loves Raymond. I remember that short-lived television show, Reba. I remember seeing him in that.
Oh, Reba! He was on Reba,
He was
yes.
on Reba.
That was a good show.
Yeah.
Yep.
But, yeah,
So
that satisfied my curiosity. I know.
Oh, good. And then, playing the part of Doris, we have character actress Kim Darby. Kim Darby, also, like Joel Brooks, has not quite as many credits, but they are consistent throughout her career. She is still working to this day, and I'm not sure I recognized her from anything per se.
I mean, with the poor quality of the Daily Motion video, I thought it was Mary Tyler Moore when she first walked in.
Mary Tyler Moore was far too famous to appear in this show. But when they arrive, we have got and this is the only time we ever see Doris, and this is the last time we see Raymond on the series. He never reappears, and the wife is never a part of the show. The only weird thing, and we've mentioned this before, is in the reunion movie that they did in 2001. For some reason, Raymond is the manager of the hotel that Blair's hotel mogul husband has built in Peekskill. He's an accountant from Boston. What the fuck is he doing there? And
was it the same actor, though?
Yeah, and it was Joel Brooks.
Yeah, it was Joel Brooks.
Yeah, and the weird thing is, it's like, but okay, you bring him back. You don't bring back Cloris Leachman. You don't bring back Cousin Jerry. Yeah. You don't bring back Mackenzie Aston, who was on the show for 3.5 years.
They cost a lot more.
Apparently. Jesus.
It's like, so, what previous cast member can we bring back that won't break the bank? Let's bring back the one who's only in 2 episodes.
Yeah, that's it. Joel Brooks. It was either him or it was going to be Roy, the bread delivery man who harasses Joe. But when they arrive, we have this wonderful counterpoint of Raymond and him picking her up and Mom and hugging her and swinging her around. And then it's like, Doris, and a cool cheek kiss.
Yeah.
And then the other cheek kiss.
There were so many awkward silences in this episode.
Yeah, a lot.
In this scene, particularly.
Yeah, in this scene. Because he says, I love what you've done with the place. And Doris says, oh, the lighting is a little bright.
It's a little harsh. Yeah.
A little harsh.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, okay. Fuck you very much for the feedback.
She's like, I've been to a place with fluorescents, and they were so cheerful. How a light can be cheerful is beyond me.
Yeah, and fluorescent light? Really?
Yeah.
That's
fluorescent lights are the most harsh.
Really?
Yeah, they're the most harsh lights ever.
But anyway.
They're supposed to simulate natural light, natural sunlight. No, they don't.
No, fluorescents literally do the opposite. They are as artificial as you can get. But Blair introduces herself. Raymond introduces the other girls. And there is another awkward pause. And she does say, Doris says, do I have spinach in my teeth or something? Because there is a sense of the girls kind of being just like, wow, so that's her.
That's her right there.
Staring
that's
at her.
woman.
It's like, yeah.
I was like, what's going? Like, I was like, is it buffering? What's going? Why aren't they saying anything?
Yeah. So it turns out they're in town for the wedding of one of Doris's cousins.
Yes.
So they're actually killing 2 birds with 1 stone.
Well,
And
if I
Mrs.
have to be a dead bird, then I'll be a dead bird.
Yeah, Mrs. Garrett basically saying, "Oh, so you couldn't just fucking come and visit me, bitch." So Mrs. Garrett very quickly offers Joel some of her peanut butter croissant, and Joel loses his mind over getting.
Mrs. G, son, you want a peanut butter croissant?
That's for your Gen Z listeners.
I don't have any idea what you just did.
It's from Jimmy Neutron.
Oh, okay. My grandchildren have told me about that show. So very quickly, Doris becomes critical of Raymond eating too much and his need to lose weight. There is a little bit cut from syndication where Mrs. Garrett does take them out into the kitchen to give them like a tour. And then while they're gone, we get the girls the chance to weigh in without her in the room. And Natalie says, "I would definitely go with Shrew." And Tootie says the weirdest thing. Tootie says, "I think she's good looking." And later, there is a callback to this. Doesn't she say that
Yeah.
later? She says afterwards, she's like, "I don't care what anyone says. I still think she's good looking." And it's like, good looking?
That's okay. We're focusing on personalities here, Toots.
Yeah.
Not her outward appearance.
But I'm saying a 15-year-old talking about an adult woman, referring to her as good looking, be back to talk to you later.
Maybe all of our focus was on Joe. We never even looked at Tootie about this. So.
But what I'm saying is, writing to character and writing appropriate dialogue for the people in the age, why wouldn't she say, "I think she's pretty"?
Yeah.
Well, she is kind of pretty, and have the others kind of like, the response being, "Girl, that doesn't count for anything when you're a fucking see you next cunt."
Yeah.
But the thing is,
she has charisma, uniqueness, nerve, and talent.
yes.
We'll put it that way.
but the thing is, so then the tour quickly ends, and Doris kind of comes walking back in a little bit of a huff, and sits down at the table that's downstage center. And Mrs. Garrett is like, but Doris, and Doris says, "Well, maybe I am stupid." And Mrs. Garrett says, No, I didn't mean you were stupid. I just meant that maybe the idea of freezing the milk was stupid when you suggested it, because we get milk delivered fresh here every day from a milkman. And Raymond starts to eat another croissant. And then this is the point where the cuts from syndication, we go back to the syndicated version now. So in the syndicated version, the tour doesn't happen. It looks like they're there. He eats a croissant. She says, "You're fat. I want to leave."
Right.
But the thing is, just to be clear, in that kitchen, what happened off stage was she made another suggestion, and Mrs. Garrett basically called her stupid. And it's like, whoa, girl. But as we return from the little trimmed out segment, he's eating the croissant, and Mrs. Garrett's like, "Oh, it's his mother's cooking. He'll start his diet on Monday." And Doris just basically says, "I gotta go. We need to leave. I'm tired after the wedding." And this is where Tootie says she's nice looking. Maybe I said good before. Tootie says she's nice looking. Why wouldn't you just say pretty?
Right.
Or if you don't mean she's pretty, say she dresses well. Or
well, I mean, this is a place that they still darn socks, so she can be nice looking.
I guess, but anyway. So Doris leaves, but Raymond is left behind, and the girls also leave too. Maybe that was the callback when Tootie said, "I don't care. I think she's nice looking." I can't remember. I've only taken 47,000 notes and transcribed the episode verbatim and can't remember shit. But we now get Raymond and Mrs. Garrett alone. And Mrs. Garrett does say, "I wish she wouldn't criticize you like that in front of me." And he doesn't really stick up for the wife. He's like, "Yeah, it's pretty terrible. There's no pleasing that woman, but I can't criticize her." And Mrs. Garrett's like, "Oh no, she's perfect." So they quickly start commiserating and start ganging up on Doris.
Yeah.
And he says, and all she wants to do is spend, spend, spend. And and Mrs. Garrett says, Raymond, you don't have to live that way. And he says, well, we've tried living other ways. We've tried a trial separation. I even took her on a vacation to Hawaii. It's not working. We're going to separate. We're going to be splitting up. She is leaving me. And Mrs. Garrett's like, she is leaving you? And I mean, it's so funny how that's not what I would say.
No.
It's she's leaving me, be like, oh, okay, cool. What do we do? How do we move forward now?
Right.
But so he says, I don't know how to live alone. And Mrs. Garrett says, there's other fish in the sea. And he says, but I don't want anybody else. And
it was very confusing. I'm like, so he doesn't like her, but he wants her.
Yeah. And
Make up your mind.
Thank you. It's very, very inconsistent. Much as we like the littler moment of him and Mrs. Garrett being in agreement.
Yeah.
But we'll talk more about this at the end of the show because of the twists and turns that still await us. And as he leaves, she says, well, sweetie, I'm here if you need me. And she gives him another croissant on the way out. And it's like, fuck yeah.
Which I want a peanut butter croissant.
I've never heard of such a thing. Have you?
I've never heard of it either. Maybe it's in the batter, I would think. I wouldn't, or maybe you fill it with peanut butter?
No, the way you make a chocolate croissant, before you roll it up, you make the dough, but then you put, you like paint a layer of chocolate filling and then you roll it up. So you would just do that with a peanut butter filling. I mean, I understand completely what they would be like, but I don't know why I've never had one, and I think I need to have a chocolate peanut butter croissant.
Right? Get you a Nutella croissant.
Oh, now those I have heard of. Those are amazing too.
Those are.
What were we talking
Nutella's
about?
good.
Oh, that's right. Facts of life. Food is important. Food. So the girls come back in, and Mrs. Garrett says, oh, hi. And they're like, so they're splitting up, huh? It's like they were eavesdropping. And Mrs. Garrett says he'll be miserable without her. And this is where the complication ends up materializing.
Yep.
Where Blair says, wait a minute, Mrs. Garrett, didn't you say Raymond and Doris own the store together and that it's in both of their names? And Mrs. Garrett's like, yeah. And Blair's like, well, if they divorce, they can't split the building up. They're going to have to sell it off and split the cash. And that's where the syndicated version ends and goes to commercial. There is a little more here that they trimmed out, and I do not miss it one bit. They basically come to the conclusion, well, we need to save this marriage to save the store. And Joe says, Mrs. Garrett, you have to try to think of a way to save this marriage. And Mrs. Garrett says, I'm trying. And then we go to commercial.
Oh, okay. That's nope. Don't like it.
No. And
Don't like it.
And here's the other thing. This whole thing of Blair being a money expert just because she fucking has money bothers me. It has come up variously in the past where they don't have to, if a couple divorces and they own a piece of property, they don't have to sell it and split the money. One of them can buy the other out. He can let her have the house and he keeps the building. It's like there are so many other options that could be there. Let him sell the building, sell it to someone else, and make it a prerequisite that this store, Edna's Edibles, has to remain a tenant and her rent has to be stable or something. There are so many other options.
Yeah.
But the TV show has decided to take this black and white thing of, if they divorce, the store is dead and we're all going to be fucking homeless.
Yep.
So the complication has been set as we go to commercial. So dramatical.
Which on Daily Motion, you see the same commercial twice.
Yeah, the Daily Motion. I love that there is a platform where I can share the episodes and I can have people watch them if they want to, though I hope that they don't need to. But man, those commercials are so awful.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay, so we come back from commercial and they are setting up a luau.
Oh my goodness.
The whole living room is all decked out with tiki statues and fringe curtains and baskets of flowers and leis and this whole tropical Hawaiian paradise thing. And this is the magical big idea that is going to save a marriage. Is we're going to try to make them remember their trip to Hawaii when they were supposedly happy, and they'll reconcile. Done.
Yeah.
Blair brings in a record album. Don Ho sings again. And there is a joke that kind of gets garbled. I don't know if people are laughing or if she swallows the line. But did you hear she says in full monaural?
No, I didn't even hear that.
Do you get the joke?
No, I don't.
Monaural, meaning it's not even in stereo. That's how fucking old this music is.
Tiny bubbles
in the wine. Yes. So then we do have a little cut.
Oh, we'll put the Audacity thing. I'll cut that into mono just for that.
And to put it, I do the podcast in mono. I don't do any stereo. What the fuck? Who needs it? Whatever. So one thing cut from the syndicated version is Blair does also mention she got little umbrellas for their drinks, and Mrs. Garrett is just transfixed. Where did you get those? And she says, at a toy store, part of a Barbie and Ken patio furniture ensemble.
That was cut from the syndication.
Yes,
then,
it was.
Because I don't remember that part.
It was. And then we come back from the little trim of that joke with Natalie bringing in the poi. What is poi, JW? Do we know?
Poi is a fish, but I think it's boiled to hell, and it turns into this gray gelatinous goo. Oh, there it is.
There it is.
It looks like bean curd.
Yeah. But traditional poi is produced by mashing the cooked corm, taro root, either baked or steamed, on a wooden pounding board. Modern methods use a food processor to produce large quantities for retail distribution.
So it's not even fish.
It's taro. It's root corm. It's a taro root. So it's a root vegetable.
It's a root. I thought it was a fish. I always thought poi was a fish, but no, it's roots.
It's highly. Well, I think maybe it's served with fish. That might be what's going on.
Okay.
I think when you said fish,
what in the Kunta Kinte is going on?
No, but when you said fish, I thought the same thing. I was like, I think there is some type of a fish association. Wait a minute. Poi can be eaten immediately when fresh and sweet, or left a bit longer to ferment and become sourer. It then develops a smell reminiscent of plain yogurt. A layer of water on top can prevent fermenting poi from developing a crust.
Do you imagine like leaving your poi out a little too long and you got that film on the top? You're just like, I'm gonna make this into like a root fruit roll up now. I'm just gonna.
And looking further down the Wikipedia page, it does say, although many of the world's people consume taro, only Hawaiians make poi. Hawaiians traditionally cook the starchy potato-like heart of the taro corm for hours in an underground oven, which is also used to cook other types of food such as pork, carrots, and sweet potatoes. So, it has long been a punchline. In the continental United States,
yes,
it has, it's one of those foods that most people are like, bleh.
And then they did the joke after the poi. They did the joke where it's like, and this is why they were the last state.
Yeah, it's true. But the joke is, Natalie says, here's the poi, and Joe is like, that don't look right. And Mrs. Garrett says, yeah, it's right. If it doesn't look right, it's right. But anyhow, ding dong. Raymond comes in the door. Where is Doris? Doris is reparking the car. God, this fucking bitch, I hate her.
I laughed because my mom has had to do that for my
Oh, jeez.
Because he doesn't get in the lines.
Mm-hmm.
He was like two wheels that are just on the line or outside of the line. Mom was like, get out. Let me do this again.
Yeah, just let me do it.
I'm like, oh my God, it's my parents.
I do have to admit, I am a great parallel parker. That is one skill I do have, of which I am proud. Just saying.
All right. I have a backup camera.
Oh, does that allow you the ability
No,
to...
it doesn't. I just, I wanted to flex a little bit, but I don't know where I was going with it.
Okay, let's put our dicks away and get back to the show. So Joe comes up to them and puts these big floral lays around their neck, and Doris starts to sneeze. And
I knew it right away.
totally. We saw that coming a mile away. And then it's like, well, this is our big tropical paradise that we put together for you. And Doris says, oh, is that why it's so warm in here? And then Blair comes in with pina coladas. And Doris says, oh, when we were in Hawaii, they made these with fresh pineapple juice. And Blair's like, it is fresh pineapple juice, bitch.
Oh, really? It tastes like it's from concentrate.
Yeah, maybe the tap water is doing something weird with. Anyhow,
See, it's like maybe the tap water is different in Hawaii.
yeah, maybe the tap water
Oh my
deadened.
goodness.
She says deadened some of my taste buds or something. But and finally, she's still sneezing, and Joel. I want to call him Joel. And Raymond says she's allergic to flowers, and they're like, "Well, fucking take them off."
I know, right?
And then she says, "I forgot my allergy meds," and he says, "Yep, and you forgot them in Hawaii too." So then they listen to the Don Ho album, and she's like, oh, that doesn't bring back good memories, because the night that we heard Don Ho in concert in Hawaii, Raymond drank too much, ate too much, ended up throwing up. So Raymond has just about had it. And so he throws up his arms, throws up his hands, and says, I'm done. I'm not putting up with this anymore. And he goes upstairs into Mrs. Garrett's bedroom.
Well, he says, I'm not fighting you with you in front of my family. And Doris goes, but it's not your family. It's just your mother.
Yes. Ooh. Yep. But the thing is, he goes up and into her. It's like, have you ever I mean, did she take you there on the tour? How do you even know?
Yeah.
It's like, that's a private bedroom. Why the fuck would you not go into the kitchen or something?
He just wanted to storm off somewhere. He didn't care where. He's just going to hang out in the hall.
Yep. So then Doris goes out into the store, and Mrs. Garrett tries to comfort her or whatever. And this is where Doris tells Mrs. Garrett she's leaving Raymond.
Yes.
And Mrs. Garrett says she knows.
We been new. We been new.
Yeah, we seen it. So Mrs. Garrett says, yeah, that's what this was all about. We were trying to get you guys back together. And Doris, thankfully, in a moment of self-awareness, says, why? You don't even like me. And Mrs. Garrett says something like, I've always thought you were nice.
I've always liked you.
Yeah.
Way down deep.
That's right, way down deep. And Doris says, I know how difficult that was for you. It was this nice little moment of sharing of, oh, okay, at least they understand each other.
Yeah.
And then the twist happens.
Yep.
Talk about the twist, JW.
Oh, my goodness. So I had spent this entire episode absolutely loathing this woman, thinking that she was just garbage of a human being.
She was the villain. She was presented to us as the villain.
She was the villain. And then she starts saying how Raymond has been, working so much, not giving her enough attention. His doctor's saying he needs to take a break. He's not doing it. He's getting out of shape, and he's not treating her well. And I'm like, okay,
yeah,
all right. I don't not like you as much anymore.
Yeah, and we do get some counterpoint to the things that Raymond was complaining about earlier, where earlier she was criticizing him for eating all the croissants. Well, she says his doctor told him he's got to lose weight and start basically, get the stress out of his life. And all that. So we know now that's where the place that was coming from. And
she said that he wasn't, showing her any attention. And Mrs. Garrett's like, well, he took you on a vacation to Hawaii. And she goes, well, he did some accounting for a travel agency, and they gave it to him for free.
Yeah. And it was still like a work
so he wouldn't have to pay taxes.
Yeah. And then the other thing is that when she talks about we do fight about money, he earlier said all she wants to do is spend, spend, spend. She says, anytime I want to spend anything, he says no. And so suddenly we're looking at this going, whoa, Raymond, what the fuck, dude?
And then they bring it up that, they bought, the building for Mrs. Garrett, but it wasn't to Doris saying that it wasn't a risk for him. It was an investment because it was his mother.
Right. Whereas Doris, who has asked Raymond to let her open a children's boutique, And before she has time to finish the idea, Mrs. Garrett says,
Yeah.
"Oh, that would be so wonderful for you." And she's like, "Nope." He said, "No, it's too much of a risk." Then in response to the line you just said, "Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
a risk, but you're his mother. You're an investment." Mrs. Garrett gets the line, "No wonder you hate me." And then she
I don't hate you. Way down deep.
echoing back. That's comedy, ladies and gentlemen. So, yeah. So then in comes Joe. And I should have mentioned at the very, very beginning of the episode, among all the busy work, one of the busy work things was, "Joe, do you have those books in order?" Joe is sort of the de facto manager of the store. And so she's like, "Yes, I'm doing exactly. I'm putting the profits in blue, the losses in green, and the store is in the black." So at some point, it is expected that Raymond is going to look at the books and see how they're doing financially. Well, Joe has come in, and Joe is fucking pissed. She says, "I gave him a croissant, and then I showed him the books, and he came back complaining that the blue ink was too dark and looks almost black." That's his complaint.
Yeah, he comes in saying that it's like the blue is too dark, it looks black, and she goes back, she's like, "I'm gonna be right back. I'm gonna go lighten my blue."
Yeah. Yeah, and at this point, he's come in. He has come in to say that. It wasn't Joe complaining. It was Raymond saying that. And I do have to point out another Joe moment. When when they run out of the living room, when the fight happens and he says, "I'm not going to fight in front of my family," and they leave, and so just Mrs. Garrett and the girls remain, doesn't Joe say, like, "Nice going, Mrs. Garrett"?
Yeah.
A very
good job.
good job. It's like, bitch, shut your fucking mouth. You
Right?
got a better idea?
What, exactly. What was your input?
Are you
What
a
were- what
marriage
was your-
counselor? So then Mrs. Garrett has a heart-to-heart with Raymond. And she says, "Raymond, one of the reasons I divorced your father is because he spent all of our money and there was nothing left to live on. You're not spending your money, you're just sacking it away."
Yeah.
And he says, "It's there for when we need it." And Doris says, "We need it now." And Mrs. Garrett, in a very broad Charlotte Ray manner, is wagging her finger at him. And she says, "You are a good son, but you are a lousy husband."
A lousy husband.
Lousy. Yeah. Yeah. Very big and broad, very typically Charlotte Ray. And so he says, "Okay, maybe I can connect with another travel agent and see what they can do for me," and blah, blah.
So I don't have to pay taxes.
Yeah, exactly. And
She's like, "Pay the taxes."
yeah.
I'm an accountant. You're asking me to do something that I don't want to do.
Yeah, exactly. And so when he agrees, he sort of agrees, "Okay, we can try to work on this. I can try to work on this." And he says to Doris, "You're asking me to change a lot." And Doris says, "But you'll see, I can be a much nicer person too. I just want us to be happy." And he says, "Well, that's all that I want." And Mrs. Garrett says,
Oh, I don't remember. What does she say?
"And all I want is grandchildren."
Oh, that's right.
And in response, she says, "Don't worry, Raymond. They're deductible." Freeze frame, roll credits, all is good in the world. Wow. Wow.
Yeah.
I think my only problem with this episode is that the scene at the beginning of Raymond commiserating with Mrs. Garrett, some of it is inconsistent as far as they're trying to set up that he's not happy too.
Yeah, they're trying to set up that he's miserable in this marriage. He wants to get
that
out.
he's miserable because of Doris's behavior, but Doris is miserable
Right.
because of his behavior. But at the same time, maybe what needed to be cut from this episode is his, "I've never lived alone, Mom. I moved out of your house to be right with her."
Yeah.
I know, but like
Yeah.
this sense of, I don't know what I'm going to do. Part of me is kind of like, maybe that shouldn't have been there. Maybe he shouldn't have been.
Yeah.
But then why would she have wanted to save the marriage? I don't know. I'm not sure I have the immediate rewrite answers to this episode. But anywho, overall, your review, sir.
overall, my review, I thought it had a good resolution. It didn't leave anything I don't know what word I'm looking for, but
Unresolved?
Unresolved. Yeah, I would say it was. There was a mutual understanding. And from the beginning, it was very I like Raymond, don't like Doris, and then it was I like Doris, don't like Raymond.
Yeah.
Then it was like they're both kind of messed up. So
Yeah. I think it's good in the sense that I really like the idea of it takes two to tango, and there are two sides to every story.
yeah, as Dr. Phil says, no matter how flat you make a pancake, it still has two sides.
So before I send you on your way, my darling, we did this last time, but I want to do it again. Can you think of a commercial, a classic commercial from your childhood?
If you need long-term payments and you need cash now, call J.G. Wentworth, 877-CASH now.
Someone else mentioned that. Who did that? That's come up before.
877-CASH now.
Yeah, it's
I have a structured settlement and I need cash now.
shit. Who is it? That's come up. That has come up on the show before, and I can't think who it is. But it's what, J.G. Wentworth.
Yeah, J.G. It's your money. Use it when you need it.
J.G. Wentworth. Wow. I'm gonna have to look that up and see who it was that did that. But that has come up before because it's a very. Wait a minute. No, it's because it's opera.
It's opera, yeah.
It might have been Justin Schneier because he likes opera.
It's very like they have the first commercial I think was in an opera house, and then they did it with regular people like on a bus or a subway singing opera.
Yeah,
it's always stuck with me.
Booyah! It was Justin.
It was Justin.
It was Justin back in December of last year when we watched the episode with the mentally disabled person.
Oh.
Where they did not use those words. They used the R word constantly.
They used the R word. Any of those catchy jingles, like that's the most famous jingle because that's nationwide. But there's like the others that like call 877-50 floor, pick up the phone, we'll be knocking at your door, stuff like that. Or 800-588-2300 Empire today.
Yeah, that has also come up because that's like one of those. At one point, my nephew, who was like, when he was a teenager, like he was like 12 or 13 years old, going, call 800-411-PAIN. And I'm like, why the fuck are you singing an injury attorney commercial? 800-411-PAIN. I'm like, it's just
or Stanley Steamers. Remember that one?
Oh, that does sound.
Stanley Steamer, tough on dirt, gentle on carpet.
Oh, jingles are a lost. Well, commercials are a lost thing. That's why jingles are even more of a lost art form. But oh well, trying to keep them alive here on this.
That's right.
Thank you so much for doing the show again.
Well, thanks for having me.
And what is the latest from the Gamer, Gaymer?
Well, ever since the pandemic started, I've gotten into TikTok.
Mm-hmm.
And I've sort of neglected my YouTube because it takes to make it, like, for instance, to make my I did a top 10 Star Wars video games back in May. For Star Wars Day. And it took me about a good 8 or 9 hours to film and edit and re-record and stuff, all for this. Right now it's sitting at maybe 4 likes.
Oh.
It's sitting at 4 likes right now on my YouTube channel.
Mm-hmm.
And then I started TikTok, and I started it back in March. And, I was just making videos here and there, stuff about my games and stuff. And I wasn't getting, I had maybe like 50 followers. Mm-hmm. But then I started a series about LGBT video game characters. And it got a lot of views and a lot of likes. I went from having like 50 followers back in March to 24,825
Holy
followers.
shit. Can you advertise this podcast on your TikTok?
I will.
So you've been continuing with this TikTok thing because
I've been
clearly it's working
continuing
for
with
you.
the TikTok thing.
So where can
It's-
people, if I'm not on TikTok, I draw the line. I can't.
At JDub the Gamer.
At JDub the Gamer. Okay.
Same gamer with a Y. Same as I even changed my Instagram
Mm-hmm.
and my Twitter all to be JDub the Gamer, so it's consistent.
Good. Consistent online presence is key.
Yes.
Yes. Well,
No confusion.
Sweet Pea, thank you so much for doing this. It's been great to see you again and to interact and enjoy.
Even if it's only on our computer screen.
Yeah, it'll have to do for now, won't it?
Yep.
I much prefer it in person, but I'll take it. I'll take what I can get. So I hope we'll be able to get together and do this again really soon, my darling. Until then, smooches and goodbye.
Mwah.
And there you have it. That was J.W. Moore. I'll post links to his social media in the show notes as well as on the episode's webpage, and you can connect with him if you're interested in some of his video gaming ventures under the handle JDub the Gamer, or if you want to follow him on the TikTok, which is apparently the hip happening new place where all the groovy jivey kids are hanging out. Next week, I'm going to be watching Season 5, Episode 25, called The Way We Were. You can watch the episode for free at dailymotion.com. I'll post a link to the episode in the show notes and at the episode's webpage. And that's really it for now. So, thank you, as always, for listening to this week's show. And remember, the facts of life are all about you. Let's Face the Facts was produced, written, hosted, and edited by me, David Almeida. My theme song was beautifully arranged and recorded by Ned Wilkinson. Our website is facethefactspod.com. You have to drop the lets. And that's where you can find extra pictures, video, and audio extras from the digital cutting room floor. Follow the show on social media. We're everywhere under the handle Face the Facts Pod. You can become a patron of the show by going to patreon.com/FaceTheFactsPod. And don't forget, go to your favorite podcatchers and subscribe, rate, and review. Tune in again next week for another thrilling episode of Let's Face the Facts.